the last 2 weeks, my channel has grown and we hit 250 subscribers. Today on Jay's World Kitchen, I'm going to be answering questions from you that you submitted via Facebook, Instagram, or private message. I really am looking forward to this, so let's tuck into those questions. What is the most complicated recipe you've ever made? That's a tricky question. I made a lot of very complicated recipes. Some of them have a lot of ingredients and it can be quite overwhelming. Christmas pudding, for example, has got a lot of ingredients, a lot of different steps to it. But actually found that relatively easy after the first time I did it. It really is hard. I don't think I could choose just one recipe that was really difficult. There's a couple of ones that are way more technical that I am going to be attempting coming up in future episodes. So really, I don't think there's any that I've felt overwhelmed by, but certainly there are some that have a lot of steps and take a long time. But I'm okay with that. I kind of enjoy the process and sort of taking my time and working with a recipe, no matter how complicated or long it is. Here's a good one. What is my favorite South African comfort food? That is a very broad topic. I really enjoy biltong, which is a South African form of preserved meat. I love Borovo. There's a lot of South African candy that I super miss. I'm so grateful that there's a South African store in the city that I can go and indulge every now and then. There are so many comfort foods. Really, there's too many to single out just one. But biltong is probably one of the ones that's really up there, as well as quite a lot of the candies that are unique to South Africa. Peppermint crisp is definitely one of those. Very rare, very hard to find, and definitely enjoy it when I get them. I love this question. Have you ever eaten something with too much garlic? Honestly, the answer is yes. I made a pesto and used because I like garlic, so I threw in entirely too much raw garlic. And garlic cooked and garlic raw are two very different beasts. And I actually found that I put way too much raw garlic in my pesto, and I didn't hate it, but wow, did it ever burn. So yes, I would say from a flavor perspective, I don't believe that any spices or anything you add to a dish should completely overwhelm. You want those flavors to be subtly mixed in there, and while I do love my garlic, I don't want it to be the only thing I taste. And in this particular instance, it actually overpowered even the basil that was in the pesto. So yes, I have once put in a little bit too much garlic, but certainly in cooked dishes, I don't believe there's any such thing. There's a great takeout in South Africa. I believe it was called the American Pizza Parlor when I was in college, and they had a pizza called a garlic infusion, and all that was on that pizza was garlic and cheese, and it was a thick layer of chopped roasted garlic, and just absolutely loved that. Of course, people stayed away from me for days, but absolutely enjoyed that. So that was not too much garlic, but it was cooked, it wasn't raw. Do South Africans barbecue? No, we don't barbecue, we braai, which is, I suppose, the same thing. One thing that's really different in Canada and I suppose the US compared to South Africa is our barbecues, our braais, are generally speaking not propane or natural gas. Usually it's wood or charcoal most commonly, and definitely the best way, in my opinion, to barbecue anything. What I really like about it is that a barbecue in South Africa is not cut and dried very quick, out there, cook the meat and sit down and eat. A braai lasts hours. People come from all over, and there's a huge selection of meats, and there's sausage and steak and chops and just a whole slew of different recipes that come together, and it's usually a good couple of hours of lots of fun and lots of laughter and lots of good conversation around the fire as food is cooking. So it really becomes a whole event and not just the cooking portion of a meal that one person's doing. It's more a social gathering. And so yes, we do barbecue, but it's not a barbecue like I've experienced in Canada. It's very different and very big and always way too much meat, if there is such a thing. The next viewer said, I made the bunny chow and I loved it. Are there other portable street foods? South Africa has a slew of different street vendors and street foods. We'll be looking at some of those, a lot of them from varying cultures, similar, I suppose, to trucks, the food trucks that go around, certainly in Calgary, but in other places in North America as well, and lots of stalls, and especially at markets and things like that. So yes, there are a number of other street foods, and we'll be delving into those on and off throughout the next year or so in episodes. What is your guilty pleasure in food that you might be embarrassed to be seen eating? I don't think there's anything I'd be embarrassed to be seen eating. You know, I have a number of guilty pleasures. Chocolate is a huge guilty pleasure, good chocolate. I really do like a really good chocolate. Ice cream, I could eat a lot of ice cream. I've always had a sweet tooth, and those sort of things, desserts, chocolates, ice cream, that kind of thing, those are my guilty pleasures. So here in North America, DQ is one of my favorite places to sneak into if I get the opportunity. But other than that, I don't think there's any foods I'm embarrassed to be seen eating. No, I don't think so. But yeah, candy, lots of candy. What is your favorite holiday menu? By far, a proper traditional Christmas dinner with, you know, all the hors d'oeuvres and all the turkey and the ham and everything that goes with it, and the desserts and the trifles and all that kind of stuff. I really do love a proper big Christmas spread. It's by far one of my favorite menus. It supersedes any other kind of menu out there, is Christmas dinner. Kitchen disasters ever? I wouldn't say disasters. I've had certain dishes flop with my timings being off and something like that. I wouldn't say I've had disasters particularly. I've had breads that haven't risen. I've had cakes that have sunk in the middle. I've had cheesecakes that didn't set. I've had, you know, things like that. But no sort of, the entire meal is ruined. There's been portions of it that have been overcooked or undercooked or just not done what they're supposed to. I definitely make mistakes. I've done recipes before that required salt and totally forgotten to put the salt in, and so that messes up the outcome and things like that. But no, never a humongous disaster where everything is just pandemonium. So not yet, anyway. Boerewors, yes or no? Absolutely. Love boerewors. It's for those unfamiliar with the term, boerewors is a South African farmer's sausage, very uniquely flavored to South Africa, and I'm working on perfecting my take on the recipe, and once I do, I'm going to share that with everyone. So yes, absolutely, boerewors is the way to go. Top 3 kitchen gadgets you use the most? Well, my stand mixer is absolutely my go-to in my kitchen. I use my standing mixer for a lot of things and I have a lot of attachments for it. I love to make my own pasta, so I use the pasta press for that. I use the pasta rollers for that. It definitely is the sort of central gadget in my kitchen. Other than that, I don't have a ton. I have a ton of gadgets. I have way too many gadgets. I know this, and I'll tell you why at the end of these questions. But I have a lot of kitchen gadgets. To choose just 3 would be impossible, but certainly number 1 and high up there is my food processor. I really do enjoy trying out new things and trying new gadgets. I very much like, I have a press, I have a set of small tart makers that I've used actually to make my Cornish pasties before, because it gives them a nice, even, uniform shape and size. So I really like those. So there's 2. I couldn't choose just a 3rd. I think I enjoy too many of my gadgets, but I try and actually keep them out of the show because I prefer. I know not everyone's going to have that gadget on hand, so I prefer to do recipes that don't use a lot of gadgets because I want to make sure that all the recipes are as accessible as possible. So I always try and give an alternative if I'm using a specific gadget and try and show a different way of doing it without that gadget. The final question is, South Africa has many food traditions from England, India, and many other traditions and countries. What foods are your favorites? So that's tricky. Interestingly enough, I really do like a good chicken meal. And there's a South African chain that actually has some franchises here in Canada. Nando's, if you're out there, that's a South African brand. And really it's Portuguese chicken, which I really enjoy. I love going out to Nando's every now and then. But really, I'm a big fan of the traditional South African meals which are influenced by so many other cultures and have sort of become the South African standard by their influence from other countries. And I think that's what makes South African food so unique, is that we took all these ideas and put them together and made magic out of them, and magic happened from them. And there's flavor profiles in there that you just don't find elsewhere in the world. So I couldn't really say I would choose one other than South African, because it's such a melting pot. So that's all your questions that I have time to answer today. I did want to mention a couple of things. So in the next few weeks, I'm actually going to be moving house. So we won't be seeing this kitchen after a few of the next episodes. I'm moving into a slightly different space, but one that I'm hoping is going to allow even more creativity and more fun recipes and more fun times with you. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and remember to turn on notifications so that you know when my next video drops. I really do appreciate your feedback and your support. Reaching 250 subscribers is a great achievement, and I cannot believe that we've got this far this fast. It really is incredible, and your support is invaluable to me. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy eating.